the most important character in Melee? There's a pretty strong consensus on the best character. There are plenty of subjective takes on which character is the coolest, but which character's impact is the mortar between the bricks of Melee history? We can safely scratch out the overwhelming majority of the cast. Ness can't recover, Pichu has like 3 moves, and Ganon players have a checkered past. It's not Falcon, his pants are too tight. And it can't be Peach, because that would cost Peach mains their sanctimony about all the weird tech commentators never understand. And it's not Puff, because frankly, this is my editorial and I won't stand for it. We're really only left with 2 characters, Fox and Marth. So what makes a character important? For me, it's their ability to create history, to move it and shape it.
Real high.
Oh, that's gonna be insane! He gets the tipper forward smash! There was a NorCal chant!
Marth had the most #1 players of all time, so it's just really hard to talk about the history of Melee without talking about Marth.
Ken was the best with him. Mewtwo was briefly the best with him. PP won majors with mostly Marth, and we also had the era of Zane.
For me, I will always believe that it's either him or Fox.
I'm not too concerned about which character is the best, but I do think Marth will always be like up there. He has so many tools and no matchup is like really bad that like I can see him like ever fading out.
And he's just the coolest, man. Like he can do it all. So in my heart, he's the best.
The drum I'm here to bang today is a simple one. Marth is the most important character in Melee. He was there when Melee first took shape. He was there when it needed to take shape again. He isn't always at the forefront, and he doesn't always have the biggest player share, because that's not what he does. He's not the protagonist, and he's not the antagonist. He's the force of nature that sweeps in when things are in limbo.
You think this was grants the way people are yelling?
Oh, is that it?
Players like Pew Pew, Ken, Mewtwo King, PPMD, and Zane have all picked up the sword and used it to carve their initials into the Great Book of Melee, shout out Anu, in vastly different ways. Each of these players' primes sync up so well with Melee's defined eras that you might think Marth has been in the writer's room all along, down-tilting anyone who gets too close to the script. It's pretty clear I'm biased. I think Marth is cool. Many players don't. I'm here to make my case, not force you to change your mind. Come along for the ride. Right off the bat, Marth and his less flamboyant counterpart Roy stick out like sore thumbs because, at the time of release, no one in the West knows who these guys are.
Yeah, I played him as a kid when I first played Melee with my brother and sister. I always thought he was cooler than Roy. I know most people like made Roy and stuff, but Marth to me just had some kind of like mystique about him.
I actually don't have a complicated answer for why I play Marth. I like characters with big normals. I like elegant characters, and he also feels rebellious. He's like a vehicle for like being rebellious.
His style of like spacing with a long disjointed hitbox, which sounds so broken, but I'm really good at that.
I ended up picking Marth because his wave dash felt the best. Like, he was the character I had the most fun playing. Plus, I knew he was at the very least a top tier, so like, you know, there's no excuses if I lose with Marth, so that's why I play him.
Yeah, Marth is iconic, you know? Like there's just no character quite like him.
Most top tiers are defined by their toolkit, and boy, does Marth have tools. Marth's dash is absurdly long, pretty fast, and gives him a significantly lower profile. He's a relatively slippery character whose wavelands give him tremendous flexibility in neutral and beyond. Marth's sword gives him a plethora of quality disjointed hitboxes that make up for their long startup animations with their range, their utility, and their varied knockback mechanics that create a galaxy of combo routes that are still being uncovered to this very day. And holy shit, his grab range. The result of all this absurdity is a character that can do stuff like this. For the purposes of this project, Melee history is coherent enough to start keeping track of quite conveniently with Tournament Go 4 in early 2003. Let's see what the character the winning player was using. Oh, look at that. That's Ken. If we're drawing sports analogies to esports, he is Melee's Bill Russell, a man ahead of his time, soaring over the competition to the extent that it almost feels silly at times.
I think if I had to pick one player for the most important Marth of all time, it's still Ken. Ultimately, he invented almost everything, and he was dominant in the early years of the game when the game really needed to make its footing.
Biggest Marth inspirations, when I started, Ken, for sure. Sheer dominance.
Ken is Marth, and Marth is Melee's first true champion. However, he is not alone. Both he and Asin believed in Marth enough to use him at the top level. At a time where information was hard to share globally, two of the best players in the world were developing Marth in parallel. Ken's Punish and Asin's fundamentals became the foundations for decades to come. Tier lists acquiesced. After 2002, Marth had moved into the top 5. Marth might as well buy some property in the neighborhood because he's going to live there for a very, very long time.
You know, if he didn't do what he did and really help popularize the game, first of all, I wouldn't be here without Ken. Like, Ken versus Asin was the rivalry that inspired me to play Marth.
Ken wasn't the protagonist, he was the king. And the king was the first to hold Marth's sword aloft for all to see. He was the first to truly show people a glimpse of what could be done in this game.
And the king's first decree: fair, fair, dare!
Fair, fair, dare?
One thing that tends to separate Smash from traditional fighting games, besides platforms, is Smash's lack of a formal combo system. Most hits are interactive. Few follow-ups are guaranteed, but it behooves players like Ken to seek out confirms that lead to combo-like kills.
Oh no. Is he going in?
Yes, he is. He is not gonna down here. Whoa!
Okay.
Just like that, Melee has its first signature combo, signed every time by the guy who discovered it. And so, the King of Smash presided over the Golden Age, until Ken's handle on the competition faded with his drive to win. And Nintendo pulled the plug on Melee with the release of Brawl. All palaces are temporary palaces. Marth and Melee itself will have to struggle to find their way from here.
Our union, marred by scarcity of events and resources, was set to tear itself apart when it must hold together for the good of all, for a future not yet promised.
Marth. I hate Marth. I despise Marth. How could you not hate Marth?
Our champion, beleaguered by mid-tiers with remarkably good matchups against him, must survive the darkness alone to emerge again.
Let's be honest. Asin mains Marth, no Johns.
Nope. He uses a wide variety of characters.
There is talk in the town square that Marth will drop on the tier list. Everyone who still plays him seems to have picked up other characters to deal with problem matchups, from Sheik to Fox and Lord knows who else.
Sure, Marth players are capable of getting top 10, but that's not good enough.
Our nation must stand undivided against the incursion of the space animals.
My dear Annabelle, it has been nearly 1 year since I last attended a Melee tournament. Everywhere we go, we find nothing but brawl. Who is Meta Knight? Why did that character randomly fall over?
This is the match. Stay Marth, you son of a bitch.
Someone must stand up and do something, that our nation's spirit be, dare I say, revived.
It's hard to put Mewtwo King into words. His contributions to Melee are vast.
I've loved watching Mewtwo King, modeled so much after him.
Mewtwo King's punish game, I pretty much copy and pasted for myself and like expanded on it.
From frame data and states to decision-making optimizations, his development of Sheik and Fox as well as Marth are so vast, so sprawling that he changed the game forever. Like Einstein, he paved the way for everything that would come after him.
And what I really liked about him was how explosive he was. People talk about how robotic he is. I don't really see that. Like, I see like a very explosive player that like just knows how to get it done.
Melee had changed from a game about not getting hit to a game about hitting as hard as possible. And once again, Marth was the right Tiara guy for the job.
Starting from somebody that was the second best in my school to being the best in the world was like that journey. That was like the most fun journey in my life, I'd say.
For a player as patient and calculating as M2K, Marth was his instrument of choice, conducting symphonies of misery for anyone dumb enough to get caught off stage against him.
That's a shot, guys. Whenever they like get in the way of a combo, is this starting?
Oh my god.
He's so important to Melee. He isn't exactly the most technical character, like, you know, compared to like the space animals, but he does represent like a finesse side.
Taking a breath too.
Yeah, take a breath.
Oh
no, Zane's got him in the corner.
Oh
Let's get him down there.
They gave him a disjointed, absurdly long sword, one of the fastest dashes in the game, one of the longest dash dances, an insanely good wave dash.
When a lot of people think that he's not cool, they'll watch Marth versus Spaceys and just see him like give him Spaceys or whatever, right? In every other matchup, he has to be so different, comboing in completely different ways. So I would say the variance of how he plays matchups makes him constantly fresh.
M2K was perhaps the first of the five gods to dominate, and the first to prominently feature Marth, but he certainly was not the last.
Yeah, my favorite Marth of all time would be the Doctor himself, PPMD.
Where M2K would define how to combo someone as Marth, Dr. PP would define how to create the opening for said combo through neutral game and movement.
PPMD's dash dance and the way he like approaches Sheik matchup and like the way he's spaced.
At one point, PPMD went on a rampage that spanned 2013, 2014, and culminated in 2015, where he won 16 of the 18 events he entered, all at the peak of the Five Gods era.
He had like a Smashboards thread where any Marth can ask him any questions, and I spammed that thread like every single day when I found that like he just essentially didn't really have a limit at the time. That like cemented it even more as like, you know, the GOAT Marth for me.
The first tournament I watched was Apex 2015, which is a crazy one to watch because I feel like narratively everything just like came together at that tournament.
It's not a stretch to consider Apex 2015 to be the climax of Melee's grand narrative. The new and old worlds coalesced and swirled in chaos. It's hard to point to a singular tournament with more gravity, despite the infamous venue incident that almost immediately puts it on the brink of both literal and figurative collapse. Melee had completed a years-long transformation into a major esport, shorn of all ties with its developer, an ecosystem for players, by players. Apex 2015 is a living, breathing monument to that. Anyone who was there will tell you, even years removed, that it was special.
Getting into the game because I was a doc kid. One of the first majors I've ever watched was Apex 2015.
Marth will not let this moment of history pass without making yet another statement. The character in the game were transforming again. Enter Pew Pew U.
I hear screams from the crowd. I think they're loving this Pew Pew U Marth movement.
Pew Pew in terms of like niche Marth main techniques. He used to post Pew Pew University videos on YouTube, and I watched all of them like 20 times over.
Here's the thing, by the way. Just one.
Oh! Whoa! Perfect spacing.
Wow.
Pew Pew U
Pew Pew U up and has stock.
Has Hungry Box on his last stock. Oh! He gets the timber forward smash. Immortal chant!
Yo! That is the setup!
The crowd is going nuts right now. No one predicted this. And I'm gonna let this chant speak for itself.
Pew Pew's win over Hungrybox is a historic break in the stranglehold the Five Gods had on Supremacy, and a blueprint future Marths will need in order to stop Hungrybox.
I love being the first Marth to do X. Not that it's like at top of mind when I'm doing it, but after I'm getting it done, oh, I love that. It's something that I like always look back on and refer to, so it's incredible.
Both Kevins have dates with Destiny this weekend, as well as each other.
That was so weird. Did you see that? It looked like almost something that I would say is unwinnable. Just by the nature of Marthados and how the punishes are not super guaranteed.
Yeah, man, that's it.
M2K and Pew Pew each finished 9th at what is at the time the biggest Melee tournament ever. So Marth's newest champion is alone in top 8 against 3 other gods and their future Slayer. It's after midnight on Super Bowl Sunday. It's freezing out, and a blizzard has already begun to bury the venue and the surrounding interstates. Twitch's gambit to bail out Apex and the Smash scene has already paid off. The biggest spectacle in sports be damned. Melee viewership is shattering old records and climbing into the hundreds of thousands. The world is standing still, while 2 players who dragged Melee out of the darkness are at their peaks when it matters most. Marth has had his share of struggles against Fox, as both these characters and their players have grown and changed with the times. A win here can establish Marth as the prevailing character in the matchup for years to come. When Armada bests PP to reset Grand Finals, the momentum could easily collapse him. Armada has never been one to easily shake, tilt, or grow arrogant. None of that matters. Kevin Nanny is at the top of his game. He is in the middle of his career-defining streak. With Marth as his vessel, he will run away with the set. Apex is his. We've arrived at the center of the great narrative, and there is that pesky twink with a cape once again.
Seeing PP primarily win the tournament with Marth, and that was a character that I really, liked more and more. It's inspirational to let everyone know that Marth can do it.
The second great age of Melee is a whirlwind of sponsorships, massive events, high-profile skirmishes with Nintendo, and an ever-expanding cast of players and characters angling for a piece of the action. By the time the sun was setting on the Platinum era, Marth wasn't the powerhouse he used to be. M2K moved on to Ultimate and streaming, PPMD retired, and Pew Pew slipped down the rankings. Ken and Azin were long gone.
It just makes me really sad to see them, to see Marth, for the most part, used as Spacey's counter pick rather than an actual top-tier character.
The Five Gods have become mortals. The heyday of sponsorship bonanzas and mainstream esport attention was ebbing away org by org. The dream of Melee becoming a Tier 1 esport was looking like just a dream once again. But just like every other time Melee or Marth was looking set to fade into obscurity, someone was already in the lab.
Let's see if he can close it out, though. He's a few more openings. Okay. Nice! He just goes right for the down air. Oh, man.
He's positioned in front of him for a good step.
Crouches for dear life. And he gets the other. That's insane! Zing wins time!
With the way paved for him by dozens of incredible Marth players across over a decade of competitive play and development, Zan Nagmi has arrived.
I grew up in the game watching Muta King, PPMD, Pew Pew be the forefront of representing Marth.
If you compare me to Zane, for example, the little things that we do differently is the reason why Zane is better than me. It's not just about how well you press buttons in Melee, it's also about how well do you understand Melee.
I think Marth was in a complete rut before Zane, and there was just this era where Muta King was playing by the ledge and kind of gimmicky, respectfully, and PP was just of the belief that Marth is a limited character. And some people were like, well, these are the ones who are the most effective, so how could they be wrong? And Zayn was like, nah, you can do all this stuff. Let me start ledge canceling.
Oh, the edge cancel! He's sliding, he's flipping it.
Basically, like establishing what Modern Marth truly is. As much as Ken invented, Zayn actually invented almost as much in terms of like building a new metagame around every matchup.
And he gets the up smash! And look at the pop-up! The mid-set pop-up!
It felt like what Armada had done for Peach, Zayn was able to do for Marth. An unbelievable grasp of punish game and pressure, terrifying movement and speed, and a work ethic that rivaled even Armada's all had Zayn ready to ascend at a moment when the race to claim Melee's top player was wide open in a way it hadn't been since Ken first took over nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah, and is he? Yeah. Congratulations to Golden Guardians on back-to-back.
In Zayn, we see the true Marth singularity. It's like he was summoned in a ritual using the essence of every great Marth that had come before him. Those powers were certainly not wasted on the unworthy. Zayn can hit like Mewtwo King, move like PPMD, scrap and innovate like Pew Pew U, and stay grounded and fundamental like Ken and Azen.
And he's out of there! Oh my god, he's up 2-0 in Grand Finals.
What I will say is I think Marth can do every matchup. Fox probably destroys other characters harder, but Marth, if you're playing better, I think he just wins everything. And it's also very satisfying to tackle matchups like Marth Sheik, Marth Falcon, the weird ones like Marth Pikachu and Marth Yoshi.
And it wasn't long before Zayn was making people believe that Marth had once again become incredibly, dangerously strong.
Fuck Marth players, dude. Punish game on Fox with Marth is so fucking free. It's so easy. Like, you can fuck up and still have a good punish game.
One by one, the Titans of old fall, and Zayn takes over the game. From 2020 on, he has been at or near the #1 spot at all times, spurred to greater heights by other emergent powerhouses like Cody Schwab, Jmook, Amsa, Moki, and even Mango.
Oh no! Downer.
And to be that person now, sometimes I forget that people like will watch my VODs or like take notes from me, so it's really cool and yeah, just weird to think about too.
I think it's more so winning Genesis 7 and Genesis 8, which I think speaks to his overall legacy of like, hey, he's actually been the best for almost 4 years now.
No matter what has happened, Marth has always been there. When the lights are brightest, someone is getting tippered out of seemingly nowhere. They got hit with a hard read, not my problem. Hold that shit. When the grand storylines are playing out, someone is always getting grabbed from a seemingly egregious range. That's probably because they hit a button. Maybe they shouldn't hit a button, huh? Fox may be the protagonist. Well, to them at least. But Marth is the glue holding this whole thing together. Doing the dirty work to upset the order of things, take the crown to dominate, and then be dethroned again.
It's up there. Cody Schwab. He's off the stage.
The next generation of Marth mains understand the assignment, and make no mistake, they're coming. And if you're not going to join them, I hope you're preparing to beat them, because at the end of the day, Melee needs us all.
The fact that Marth exists and isn't completely broken, and he is pretty broken, is kind of ridiculous.
Marth in particular has to play every matchup so drastically different, so you get to see him like juice every option that he's good at in different ways across different matchups.
Marth as a whole has like everything, and the players nowadays are so innovative and so good that like Marth's like trajectory is like, you know, still gonna be top 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you like this even if you don't like Melee all that much, or maybe Marth has killed you a lot of times and you're salty about it. Either way, thanks for coming by, and I'll see you at the next one.